Let's understand a little bit more about this particular earthquake or pair of earthquakes. Joining me now is seismologist at University College London, Dr. Stephen Hicks. Dr. Hicks, good to see you this morning. Not only these quakes have been devastating, but they're unusual, aren't they, to get two of relatively equal magnitude coming so quickly off the back of one another?
Yeah, good morning. It's a fairly unusual occurrence. We call this an earthquake doublet. So they're two similar-sized earthquakes occurring quite close in space and time to each other. But in reality, we do have some of these doublets occur around the world occasionally. But in reality, it just shows the sort of complex stress interactions along geological faults where you have some sort of smaller event that then triggers a sort of cascading larger event. So they can also, these two events can in some ways be thought about in terms of one slightly larger event. But of course, this earth, regardless of how that earthquake's happened, it's caused a lot of, strong damage and ground shaking.
But as far as we know from the geography of where these two quakes have hit, are they two separate fault lines?
It looks to our sort of, based on our preliminary analysis so far, it looks like they've happened on the same fault. So basically that first earthquake has sort of started that second earthquake. So they've occurred along a fault line, which separates two tectonic plate boundaries, so the Caribbean plate and the South American plate. And so those plates are sliding alongside each other. And so those plates can get stuck against each other for centuries, and that accumulated strain then suddenly gets released in these earthquakes. And what's happened here is that the way the earthquake started tens of kilometers west of Caracas, but has actually then the earthquake's moved eastwards and actually sort of concentrated its energy towards Caracas. And that's one of the reasons why there's been such strong ground shaking in the capital city and caused a collapse of buildings, sadly.
A massive rescue operation underway. Should people still be expecting potential aftershocks?
Yeah, for sure. We will see probably hundreds of felt aftershocks in the coming weeks to months. Many of those will not be as strong as the two big earthquakes that we've had so far. That's the most likely scenario. But I think the key here is really it shows that if there's a country which is in an earthquake-prone region, or if anyone lives in an earthquake-prone region, the key is preparation, really, and it's preparing for such large earthquakes, because we can't predict them. We can maybe forecast them over sort of years, decades sort of timescales, but it's preparing for them. And actually, in somewhere like Venezuela, sadly, the building regulations are not strict enough, so a lot of buildings are not built to withstand this type of size of earthquake, even though they've happened in decades and centuries ago. That combination of strong ground shaking plus buildings that aren't prepared for that shaking, creates a disaster, really.
And given the terrain, it's relatively mountainous, isn't it? That also makes it prone to potential landslides, complicating any efforts to rescue people.
Yeah, Venezuela is quite a mountainous region, and we also have the city of Caracas lying in quite a deep valley. So we have that earthquake that sort of moved during the earthquake. The fault rupture moved eastwards, so like ends up in a piece of paper or tearing a piece of paper. That crack moved eastwards into Caracas, concentrating a lot of strong ground shaking. But also the fact that this city lies in a valley means that shaking was naturally amplified as well by the local geography. And so then if you have that strong shaking plus these steep-sided sort of mountainous valleys and mountainous peaks, that shaking can cause collapse of sort of steep rock faces that can then trigger landslides, and then that can cause additional sort of hazard to both people and buildings.
And I know that, rescue efforts are not your speciality, but given what you do know about the casualty toll of events of this size, do you expect we're looking at an order of magnitude or several orders of magnitude greater than the death toll that we already know?
Most likely. I mean, these, the early death tolls that we sadly see in the immediate aftermath of these earthquakes always, increase by many orders of magnitude. Once the full sort of rescue and recovery effort is completed. So we might not know the true damage until sort of several more weeks or months, really. But I would say on a sort of global scale, this is a very large event, and it's not the largest magnitude event that we could have, but because it's occurred at a shallow depth, close to a capital city, and these sort of geological effects have contributed to this strong shaking. It is really a big disaster, and also because Venezuela is particularly over the last decades is been quite a poor country. It's not so economically developed. That means that people are not so well prepared, the buildings aren't so well prepared, and also these rescue and recovery efforts become even harder as well.
OK, really interesting talking to you. Thank you for your time on Sky News. Now, the United Nations has halted the evacuation of thousands